like to get from you, based on your experience, some failures that you have perhaps lived yourself or you have seen other managers to live on trying to create a great customer experience and failing by doing it.
Okay, so there are kind of two scenarios. One is actually in the group. And the failure we made, I think, about 6-7 years ago, because there was this run to make a group big, because big groups seem to have huge impact. And we try to get everybody and his dog on the group. And so there's a correlation with some companies who go for infinite growth no matter what it takes. And, you know, quality is a difficult thing. I mean, and I don't want to get too deep into that, but the failure we made at the group was getting everybody in, having almost anybody so we could show that this is the big group. But then we realized, you know, we were kind of completely spammed. So we needed to have lots of spam control, and we had to change the group. We had to change the group, the group rules. We had to enforce them. I think we blocked more than 10,000 people. I mean, just the work to do that is, ridiculous, actually.
Yes.
But today,
Indeed.
The group has come back to a mature group of, you know, good people, less spam, even though it's still not good enough. So that was one mistake, and fixing it was way more complicated and took way more effort than actually make the group grow in the first place. And the interesting dynamic was, after this was kind of known, our group actually grew at the same speed. Because now people came and said, you know, that's the group I want to be part of, versus just any group. On the business side, we made once an interesting mistake, and that is I think an adjacent part to customer experience. So just real quick, sales team came, had a great deal. I realized the product we have would not be ideal for that customer. And I said, guys, you know, I mean, we really look for deals, but, you know, this is not a match. We don't make that customer happy. We would not have a reference customer with the customer who is not happy. For us, it's work, and for what? Now, the sales team said, yeah, well, we got to fix it, and we talked to engineering, and they can do this and that. And I finally actually gave up and said, okay, I mean, if you all believe this is working out, then, you know, go for it. And fast forward a year later, you know, the customer was not happy. We couldn't do exactly what they want to have. And so we have to realize that we have to pull back. We gave part of the money back, and we basically lost money. And that is in so many instances of companies, the very same situation. You know, you take a deal, it costs more than it actually brings. You can't use the customer as a reference customer. And if these guys would have not understood that this was a little bit more an experience than anything else, but would go back into the market and saying, hey, this is a crappy company. They sold us this. They never got it done. You know, it took us a year. Yes, they gave us a little bit of money back. That would be a very negative customer experience sharing with others. And people just, still today probably don't know how influential customers are with a little bit of, you know, this may be one tweet, this may be a share on one of the networks, this may be a stupid situation in one Quora where somebody mentions it. And so, you know, taking this serious is basically, you know, what my advice is to everybody is, you know, take customer experience serious.
And how do you handle this to move the company culture to support the sales guys to understand it's not about the deal, it's about building relationship with customers. It's not about just closing the deal and that's all, but I think customer experience is a lot or go extremely together with organizational culture. So how do you link both to reinforce it?
Yeah, that's probably for most business leaders the hardest part, and the bigger the organization is, the less the organization leader have actually experienced themselves what their customers experience. Now, if people say we do have to have that because this is cost of doing business, or we will get more customers, or we will, whatever. I mean, CEOs, CFOs, they have heard all these arguments from their teams, we need to do this in order to make more business so often that they always go back and say, okay, give me numbers. Now, customer experience is a hard thing to put in numbers. And I'm always saying, what is the ROI of a coffee machine? There is no ROI. You don't do more business because you give your employees coffee. Actually, you distract them, pull them from your job away to go into the kitchen, get your coffee, and then go back. So theoretically, we would eradicate all coffee machines. Then if this is a good idea, then we eradicate all parking lots. Why should we offer parking lots to our employees? Well, because this costs additional money and so forth. And then we would ask ourselves, okay, what is the ROI of a CFO? High-paid people, they do only that what actually their bookkeeping guys do, and so we could eradicate them. And when people realize that there are things we cannot have an ROI on. We can fake it, of course, and we find calculations to argue it, but there is no ROI on a CFO, period. There's no ROI on a coffee machine either. And there is no direct ROI on a customer experience model or on culture. Or we can say, yes, okay, it's a good culture, so we get the best employees do a better job and so forth. But calculating an ROI on that is pretty complicated. And so unless we find a universally agreeable process or calculation for ROI, I think we need to agree that there are things that are not, measured with an ROI, but based on experience or based on math still, how big is our customer churn? And if we have a high churn, and if we have a high cost of customer acquisition, and we can lower that, then we come eventually to an ROI. But unfortunately, since this is not a proven model today, people say just, no, then we don't do it. And okay, we have seen companies cry, leaders cry. There's one picture that literally went around the globe when crying executives from Nokia said, we try to do everything best, but we still lost. Well, this is a sad situation that mature executives who work their, butt off, so to speak, completely lost everything. Well, it isn't that, and it wasn't right they're saying we did everything right. No, they didn't. They did not listen to the market. They did not listen to their customers. Nokia was this wonderful company, but at one point they stopped listening. And the whole company, which was like 10 years before, almost unimaginable that goes away, vanished away. And then, there's some, oh yeah, they were old, they didn't do that. But they killed an enterprise. And you can find hundreds of those cases. And we see large companies go away, not because of their technology or anything, purely because they had no customer experience, no feedback into the organization, telling them this is what the market wants. They relied on some research who had fuzzy data, and they said, okay, research said so, well, let's go. Therefore, also knowing that the research brings the results whoever orders the research, wants to have. And so back to the question, listening to customers and working with them closely is part of the customer experience, probably one of the most essential parts. And if you miss that, there is a high risk that you lose the entire company.
And I think that there are many challenges, of course, for driving customer experience. But today we have even more channels to communicate with customers. We have what is nowadays called omni-channel, where we can connect in different channels of social media, CRMs, and many tools that brings actually more opportunities to engage with customers. But if we have nowadays even more tools, more opportunities, why do you think that there are still so many companies that not make the step on using these tools to create a great customer experience?
I think you're asking an extremely essential question, Carlos. The tools has never been really the problem, even though that many people think so. I mean, like I said in the beginning of the interview, for us, when we started to think about customer experience, we saw the correlation between our own, basically, company culture and the way how we are seen by customers. And since I'm a very, in the market living person, I was more time, with my sales guys out with anybody else, but I sensed every time, and this is all I did. I was listening and trying to understand what do they like most with us, what do they don't like with us, and what is anywhere in the meantime, in the middle. But also, sometimes they argue and sometimes they don't. It would be really great if you do that. So as long as I bring that home and build what we are asked to build, and this is what I learned, we cannot go wrong. If we do what customers ideally want and deliver that, there's no reason why we could ever go wrong. And so I was lucky in my life we actually didn't go wrong. But not because we were ultimately smart and had the best tools in the world. No, we were just listening. Now, and today we can listen, like I said, on all kinds of channels. We can listen on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We can listen on all kinds of local networks. We can listen on Quora. We can listen on comments on our blog. But if we are not there, obviously we cannot listen. If people stand every morning on the train station talking about our business, but we don't go there to listen to what they have to say, we don't know. And we end up like Nokia, crying, saying, we tried to do everything right, but, we didn't make it. And so the listening component is probably that what will help us understand. And listening meaning very simple. Once in a while, look what people say about your product on Twitter, on Facebook. Go down into the customer service center. What are the email content they're sending us, and what's their issue? Customer service tries to help, but if they're overwhelmed, the customer doesn't say, "Dear CEO, your customer service team is overwhelmed." Maybe they will, but that email wouldn't even reach me because of the structure we have. And so I believe the tool is, more in the brain, how to work information inside the company from inside out and from outside in. We want to communicate with them, but if we say, no, this is a waste of time, I think there is no help for a company that doesn't want to do that. And customers have obviously the right and today the opportunity to say, okay, dear vendor, then we don't want to work with you either.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the tools are the way for optimizing processes and make them better. But if we do not create those processes and if we do not give the importance to that, we're actually not using the technology for anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think if I just may add to this, you can build the best tool. If people can't use it, there's no way. But on the other side, those who do use it have the highest chance to win in the market. So if somebody says, okay, I realized that, the current topic, driverless trucks will bring goods from A to B faster, less expensive, and more secure. And those who try first will probably have yet another edge over those who say, well, we'll see. And if in 5 years this is still good, then we will follow the others. But, then you're a follower and the others are leaders. And the same in communities. If you build a customer community and you have the tools, it still needs the mindset of the company to actually understand how to use it and how to make it profitable for the company versus just, oh, yeah, we decided for the tool, so now we're golden. Not at all. Help the people, the teams to use that tool.